This is my boy. He plays the bongos.
That is the most disturbing thing.
Hey, you're not so good looking yourself. Jammy, you've got fire. Can you put some light up to its face so I can take a picture of it and send it to our friend who's scared of spiders?
There you go.
Our friend of severe arachnophobia.
A game got randomly shadow dropped on the anniversary of PSVR2 and I hadn't got around to checking it out yet. My schedule was very, very busy at the time with a lot of PCVR news for PSVR2, but Vertigo Games kindly reached out and sponsored today's video to go and check it out. And I usually don't do many dedicated videos for games that are sponsored because I want to be as unbiased as possible, and sometimes in contracts, in agreements, I'm not really allowed to speak my mind. I just have to list off a bunch of points. But it's a bit different for today's one because these guys have given me full access to the game to talk about it in whatever capacity I want to, and the only condition being the main focus is on the co-op. And luckily, the co-op is very, very fun.
There's a dragon, boys.
We're not ready for this.
I'm really hoping that's a piece of the skybox and not gonna come kill us.
This game is a mage and spellcasting game that really surprised me at where it came from because it feels a lot like Legendary Tales in a way. It's 3-player co-op in a side mode that's separate to the main campaign and story, which I've heard is several hours long and has some pretty great gameplay and upgrade loops. But aside from that, you have your own saves for separate levels in what feels a bit like a roguelike mode with several stages that you can blast through with friends. And yesterday, I spent a good hour and 40 minutes going through these levels, and that hour and 40 minutes flew by.
Your eyes on track, are they, or are they? No.
We don't have eyes, but glowing like balls of fire, lightning, and ice. Why are you covering your mouth? Have you got a cold?
I'm not covering my mouth.
You are, your hands up
Ah,
here. Oh, now you're shy. You're
Oh!
Like,
Oh, I think that's to mute yourself. In the game. We're using party, obviously, so it's fine. But I think in the game you can mute yourself like that. That's kind of cool.
That's not to say the game is absolutely perfect, because there are a few issues here, but if you're looking for a game to fill that void of a cheaper co-op experience than Legendary Tales that involves magic, this is a pretty solid one.
Ice. Who the fuck is that? I thought some other person had joined. Hey, he's the musician.
Let's start with the visual side of things first and foremost. That's probably my least favourite thing about the Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood, which is a sequel to the Wizards, I believe, from PSVR 1 era. And the visuals here up close look pretty damn good. The actual particle effects going on, the environmental art is really, really good, but the resolution is a little bit muddy in the middle distance and far distance. And I think if they implement foveated rendering for eye tracking, which currently I don't think is enabled here, I think the game could look pretty stunning. Unfortunately, it's not quite there yet, but I do think the actual visual style, which you're seeing on screen right now, is pretty solid, and the magic itself has some really cool effects, especially between the different elements that you can choose, with some really great particles.
I love the force push.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
I am going to pull an arm socket out doing this force push eventually.
As for the actual gameplay for the co-op section that we focused on, I think there are 4 or 5 levels that you can go through with your friends with various objectives, where you have to do various things like destroy power crystals or just wipe out the enemy force in the level that you're in.
What was this little... Wait, we got to pick up these things? Oh, you stole it. Fuck you. Put it in the cauldron.
Hang on. Jammy, I need light. I'm taking another picture. Thank you. That is so useful.
That is hideous.
Okay.
Why did you throw it away? We need that.
And while there is pretty decent enemy variety with little mushroom men that I felt very bad killing, being one of the main ones I remember.
I feel bad killing these little dudes. Look at them.
I say let them die.
You do get these enemies thrown at you in big hordes, so the main thing you're going to remember is the spells you're using against them rather than the enemy variety themselves. But these guys are fairly standard medieval fantasy goblins and trolls and elemental creatures that you're fighting against with all manner of magic weapons. And this is the main focus that I want to get into, is how fun, but a little bit difficult to grasp, the magic is.
I do feel like a wizard though, just like constantly moving my hands in a certain way, creating
Yeah.
lightning. Just, aha!
There's a big boy with a shield after me.
because this magic system is gesture based, which I was worried wouldn't work that well. And there are moments where you can probably see me fumbling about with trying to cast different spells in the video, because each of them have different combinations of hand gestures on how you actually make them occur. But it really makes you feel like Doctor Strange when you're doing them, especially with the shield spell that you can pull up.
That's sick. I feel like Doctor Strange, that's fucking sick. That's so cool.
If you're jumping into co-op, like I was, you'll be split between 3 different styles of Mage: Ice, Fire, and Lightning. Lightning has some of the coolest looking abilities, which good old Darth was taking care of. I was on Fire and Thick was on Ice, and each of them have the same basic sort of attacks, but they all have branching paths in terms of your class upgrades. As you level up, you'll get access to more and more spells, which you then should jump into the tutorial to find out how to cast, and each of these are really satisfying to perform once you get them down.
So if I make my bow now, hang on. If I make my bow and then pull that apart, yeah! Have a lance.
Now,
We've
I
all
don't
got our
want
melee weapons.
I don't want to be cocky or anything, but I think I've got the coolest look.
No.
I did really enjoy the gameplay, but the more advanced spells I found myself struggling to perform sometimes, and then once I got to grips with them a little bit more, that really clicked and set in then, and I was properly enjoying myself and blasting through levels, although this game is incredibly tiring, let me tell you. I thought Legendary Tales tired me out, but after almost 2 hours of this, I was properly sweating.
Jamie, are you sure it's the first level?
This is, I don't know, we just went through a door! And it brought us in. I'm so dead. Run, run, run!
But the main draw for a lot of people here will be the co-op, and I don't want to try and make comparisons to Legendary Tales, because I know a lot of people will. This really isn't the same RPG, crunchy mechanics as Legendary Tales, because there's no points selection or allocation here. There are difficulty levels you can choose, and you do get upgrades based on your level, but you don't pick points to put into perks, you just select those perks. But there is a fair bit to play around with in terms of the different mage classes and trees. But in co-op here, it's a lot of fun to mess around with. I hope I got that across in the clips. We did have a good time with this one.
Uh-oh. I'm getting... Oh, no, I've been killed! My dude's just fallen. He's rolling.
Oh no.
He's rolling down the hill. I'm just watching my body.
Jamie, get up! What are you doing? Oh fuck!
My body's got all the way.
I do want to touch on the fact that some people mentioned they ran into movement and frame rate issues on this game. I didn't run into really any of these. The frame rate was fairly stable all the way through. The only time where it might have dropped a little bit was during when there's loads of enemies on screen, but I didn't really feel it. It does show up more in recordings than it does in the headset, though. I feel like the recordings are running at 45 frames per second, like Legendary Tales does, which kind of undersells the experience. And the recording was a little stretched on the social screen, which I tried to fix in post a little bit, but if it looks a little warped, that's why. And for the traversal issues, I didn't find them really popping up at all. There is a teleport dash mechanic. Perhaps that's why some people were struggling a little bit and accidentally dashing forward, but it never really popped up as an issue for me. Overall, the Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood is a perfectly solid mage co-op game, and if you've got friends to play with, the experience is a lot of fun. The amount of content in the co-op section of this game is enough to keep you occupied for a good couple hours, and then once you've done that, you can hop into the campaign, which will let you go through the entire campaign solo. Those are 2 separate modes.
Guess I'm just built
Yay! I find day to
different. Trophy!
Die the most times in the entire party. I just got a trophy.
Oh, you've got a crown?
Do I? Maybe it's because I died the most times.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say, but yeah.
I'll force push you.
My only big note here really is that I'd love to see dynamic foveated rendering introduced into the game, because currently it is a little muddy in the far and middle distance, and just refine those gesture controls a little bit to make sure they're properly accurate, because there were a couple times where I thought I was doing the right gestures, but it messed up a little bit. But overall, the Wizards Dark Times Brotherhood is a blasting co-op, and I really enjoyed it for a good couple hours yesterday.
I love when you hold L2 and you just... your fingers sort of like, hey, I'm a wizard.
That is the most accurate description of this game. That will put that on the store page.
I've tried to be as unbiased as possible here. There are definitely some areas of improvement that I've highlighted just then, but overall I enjoy my experience with this one, and for a fraction of the price of a AAA game or say Legendary Tales, if you're looking for a magic focused game, that's not quite as fleshed out as that, but will offer you a decent replayable co-op mode and a fun single player campaign. Check it out.
Nice.
Jamie, behind you!
It's alright, you slaughtered him in cold blood and now he's dead.
Well, he was creepily laughing towards
He
you.
was
Jamie.
laughing,
because
yeah.
he's ice.
Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you to our patron Luke Bentley and anyone who considers joining the membership or Patreon. Welcome to everybody who's new to the channel. I don't really do sponsored videos very often for the reasons that I detailed at the start, but I was able to speak my mind on this one, which I really appreciate. So thank you to Vertigo for allowing me to do that. And let me know if you have any questions about the game. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you all in the next video.
Goodbye, Thurk. Hang on.
Mwah. Good night. I mean, goodbye.
Good night.